Hello, and welcome to another edition of Medusa's Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Greg. Today I'm going to show you how I used to make risotto in the restaurant to order using a little trick that helped us do that. So we're going to get started. First of all, you need to have risotto rice. This is the arborio rice. And what I've done here is I got water to a boil without salt, and I added the arborio rice, the raw rice, to the boiling water, and I mixed it for about the first 2 minutes so it didn't clump up and get stuck together, kind of like cooking pasta. 8 minutes exactly you pre-cook the arborio rice. Once the 8 minutes is up, you put it through a strainer in your sink and you run cold water over it, just like you would if you were pre-cooking pasta. And you run cold water over the rice as you're tossing it lightly to make sure that all the heat is out of it, and then you put it in a bowl or a container of your choice. You don't mix it with oil or anything. You just pre-cook the rice in boiling water for 8 minutes exactly, then shock it and wash it off until it's cold, drain it really well, and then save it for when you're ready to make your risotto. So, in the restaurant, when we got an order of risotto, we made it to order. And when you make risotto from scratch, it usually takes about 20 to 25 minutes. You start off, you saute your onions in olive oil, and then you add the rice and you brown the rice. Well, you actually don't brown the rice, but you coat the rice with the oil and you get that going. And then you add a cup of liquid, which can be wine or chicken broth or cream or whatever liquid of your choice. And you add that a cup at a time until it's almost dry, and then you add more liquid, and that process takes about 20 minutes. Well, in the restaurant, we don't always have that kind of time. So this is what I came up with, and it worked out really great. I've got my pan hot here. So I'd get an order of risotto. I'd start it with a little butter, a little bit of garlic, and a touch of lemon zest. And I would let that start to sweat. You know, I'm not trying to brown the shallots and the garlic. I'm just trying to get the flavor out of them, okay? And it doesn't take long to get that activated, okay? Again, this is an a la minute dish. This is an a la minute risotto that comes out so close to the 25-minute old-fashioned way that it's hard to tell. Okay, so now I got my garlic and my shallots. They're sweating. They're starting to, they're on the verge of getting a little bit brown, and we don't want that. So I add a little heavy cream. I add a little chicken broth. And I add a little splash of wine, about 1 ounce. To this, I'm going to add my rice. And it's about equal portions of liquid to rice. You'll be able to find these recipes on my website, medusakitchen.com. And we'll have all the recipes that we're doing on YouTube. But you can see how it's kind of like the Alfredo that I've done, where you can still see the rice. It's just barely above the surface of the liquid. And we want to now bring this to a rigorous boil. And again, it doesn't take very long. You know, we've been doing this process now for 3 minutes. You know, Saturday night, you got 4 or 5 orders of risotto. This really, we were able to provide our customers with a from scratch made product, made to order, had the same consistency and the same bite that a old-fashioned risotto has. So while that's finishing up, if you wanted to make a mushroom risotto, you could put ground porcini powder in here. You could put sauteed. If you were going to make a vegetable risotto, say I wanted to turn this into broccoli risotto, I would have pre-cooked broccoli already ready, and it would go in right before I was finished. So if I were making a mushroom risotto, I would have sauteed mushrooms. They would go right in before I finished the risotto with the cheese and the butter. Now I'm making just an herb risotto, and I'm using fresh tarragon because I think it goes nicely with that lemon zest that we already have and the garlic that's in there. And as you can see, we're coming to a nice boil, just like the Alfredo. And we put a couple chunks of butter because that's how you finish risotto from scratch, Italian-wise. They finish it with butter and cheese at the end to give it that nice, creamy, velvety texture. Now, as you can see, I've got a nice, vigorous boil of cream all the way around, and I'm going to add about 6 ounces, about 3/4 of a cup of cheese. And I'm using Romano cheese here. I really like Romano cheese on this application as opposed to the Parmesan, but you could use either or. My personal preference is I love Romano cheese in risotto. And there it is. It's done. We're talking less than 5 minutes, and this is a beautiful, creamy, still has the firmness in the rice. You know, this is what you want to get when you're at a restaurant eating risotto. Now, got a little black pepper in here, and I'm going to reactivate. I'm going to give myself just a little bit of a sprinkle of fresh black pepper. I'll toss that in. See how nice that is? It's nice, it's creamy, it's not stiff. I got my beautiful Medusa platter here. And that's risotto from scratch, just as good as doing it the long version. I'm going to put a little pepper on there to a little sprinkle of cheese, and just a little bit of tarragon in the middle there. Now with this, because we have a little lemon zest in there, I always like to make my food look beautiful. So there you have it. Risotto. Oh, we need to taste it. Now, I find that with the Romano cheese, you don't really need to add salt because you won't believe how easy this is, how delicious, and it has that from scratch feel in your mouth. It's got a nice texture to it. It's not set up like a brick. It's nice and soft and smooth. You really need to try this one. Cook your risotto 8 minutes in boiling water. Bring your liquid to a boil. Use any flavorings you want, any liquids you want. You could use water and salt. You can't have cream or dairy. If you can't have meat, don't use chicken broth. Use white wine. If you can't have alcohol, water and salt with herbs and garlic and lemon and zest and other seasonings. and you can make a delicious risotto. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time on Medusa's Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Greg. We'll see you next time.